As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
One of the worst performances of my career, and they never doubted it for a second.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble.
You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Son of a bitch.
He stole my life.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Welcome back to the Shot by Shot podcast. Today we are finally talking the second Safdie released film from this year, and that is Marty Supreme. And there's been a lot of talk about this movie. It's one of the most talked about movies of the moment, one of the most talked about of the year, and rightfully so. I think this is an incredible movie. I had high expectations, but it lived up to it, even as a Safdie movie. We've got Timothée Chalamet with possibly what I think is maybe the best performance of his career. It's definitely up there. I think everybody would agree with that. We've got Darius Kalanji with another incredible performance from him behind the camera. Daniel Lopatin's electric synth score, which I think is one of the best of this year. We've just got a movie full of people at the top of their craft here. A movie full of cameos as well. Lots of great appearances in here. A cast that is adding so much metatextual commentary to the movie, but it's also got a lot of great characters written on the page behind those actors playing them. And one of the most complex characters I think of the year at the forefront of this movie. So we've got a lot to talk about. Supreme. So let's get into it. Oscar, what did you think about Marty Supreme?
It's interesting. Obviously, I had a lot of there's a lot of excitement going in, and you know when something premieres obviously had that surprise screening at New York Film Festival. So there's a lot of hype going into it, and it's a Safdie, and it is a Safdie movie. They had the divorce. This is their first film split together in. Is it their first films divorced in general? I think maybe some of the earlier ones was split off. I haven't actually seen
Josh
some
has
of
a
their early work
few
together.
comedy specials / documentaries, I think, but not narrative.
Interesting
films.
because, well, to be fair, I've only seen Good Time and Uncut Gems. I haven't seen Heaven Knows What or Daddy Longlegs. I didn't see the Smashing the Machine this year either. Maybe I need to get around to that, but from what I'm hearing, this is the better of the two outings anyway.
Definitely.
Yeah. I just wanted to 1 second. I am repping the merch, obviously. I have got these on in vain, even though you can't see them.
The merch that tanks your bank account.
That tanked my bank account, yeah. Yeah, I wore these to the screening as well. No one else was wearing. Me and my brother were just there. My brother had a jacket on. One other person had not the actual jacket, the windbreaker on when we were there as well. But yeah, I got it on in spirit. Very nice, by the way. But yeah, 140 quid down. Yeah, I brought my brother the socks for Christmas. They're orange, and they have one foot on the bottom says dream and the other says big. It's quite funny. But those socks 30 quid, so I ended up spending 170. But yeah, it was worth it. No jacket, unfortunately. But yeah, Marty Supreme is an interesting movie. I think the Safdies aren't beating allegations that they only make the same movies because even though this is the divorce, the three films I'd seen, and especially after my Uncut Gems rewatch the other day, they are so similar. They are ridiculously similar, but this film kind of puts all of its force onto the back of Timothée Chalamet, which is really the sole thing that it has going for it. It's it puts everything into Chalamet as an actor and his movie star status, and that is what propelled everything going forward in this film. And I'm surprised it works to the extent it does, solely because of the fact that I think that's what the film is only trying to do in a sense. And I think it's interesting comparing it to Uncut Gems, which is a kind of very thematically similar film. You know, you have these Jewish characters who are abusing this kind of capital world full of second chances. They're pretty evil characters, but Uncut Gems kind of takes a step back from that kind of movie star role of Adam Sandler, and I think is a lot more balanced overall. But Marty Supreme does is undeniably electric in a sense, but I found myself once that almost kind of faded away, I found myself maybe wanting a bit more from everything outside of what it was trying to put into Chalamet, into Marty Mauser. But I nonetheless had a pretty good time. I like this film. I didn't love it like a lot of people are. But yeah, I need to see more of their films or Josh's films. In any case, definitely.
I didn't adore it either, but I do really like it. I went in with extremely high expectations. Probably thought I had the idea that this would be my favorite film of the year, and it wasn't. We've all rewatched Uncut Gems recently, and in my review, I initially said I think I would like Uncut Gems more, but that's not actually the case. There's a weird thing with Uncut Gems me and Ryan found on rewatch, where the amount of like predisposed basketball knowledge you need to potentially enjoy it to an extra level. It doesn't ruin the film or anything, but the ping pong scenes in this film feels much more accessible to myself and more of an interesting storyline. And this is like an American epic compared to Uncut Gems. You know, Uncut Gems is very self-contained, really claustrophobic with this neurotic loser, basically. And Adam Sandler is a very unconventional casting choice in comparison to Timothy. But Timothy is playing such a multi-layered character. I said in my review, this was like the crescendo of the first stage of his career. Everyone knows he's going to be an Oscar frontrunner. I think a lot of people believe he's going to win the Oscar. I don't think he's the best performance of the year by any means, but the way he's positioned himself on social media with a younger audience has only helped his case. He's got a real sportsman winner personality that is put on as a bit of a character, but you can see how he translates that to Marty Mauser as a character. And then if you're comparing it as a Safdie film to Benny Safdie, I'd say Marty Supreme is a more conventional Safdie film, but it is itself an unconventional film, whereas Smashing Machine is so unconventional for a Safdie film, but the narrative I found so repetitive and dull and boring. I would never have attributed that to a Safdie brother making it. It's like a really safe biopic with some decent performances, but there's like a clear winner here, I think, that most people agree on. Not that I think it should necessarily be a competition, and I do think they'll get together again. I don't think they've actually fallen out, but yeah, the talent behind Uncut Gems is more obviously with Josh than it is Benny, I think.
That's interesting. You're talking about the basketball and the ping pong because I get the sport aspects, but I feel like the what even though I've said these films are quite similar, I think what basketball is in Uncut Gems is different to what ping pong is in Marty Supreme. Like the ping pong in Marty Supreme is the integral part of the Chalamet's career. Like you see him play it, and even though there's that side to it in Uncut Gems, it's more distant, more of kind of it obviously has a massive impact on the narrative, but it is like it's a secondary thing in a way that like isn't in like physically interacted with in a sense with our main characters. Well, I guess it is, but I kind of get where you're coming from, and I feel like obviously I'm not a basketball guy at all, but the way that the characters in have that distance in Uncut Gems between the sport and themselves, and the way like Adam Sandler's character interacts with that, and the scenes where the scene at the end of Uncut Gems, the spoilers by the way for both films, but where he gets the money, the 165, and just bets it all. That scene, like, just there's like the scene of their career. I think the what's the word I'm looking for? The emotion just skyrockets during that. And I think if there's a with Marty Supreme, yes, it's more integral to the character, but I think at the same time, um, what am I trying to say? It's the friction between those two is more felt somehow in Uncut Gems than it is in the relationship between Chalamet and Ping Pong, because they're closer in the film. It's a weird juxtaposition, but it's I just found uh, Uncut Gems to be a more complete and balanced both sides of this main character and the geopolitics that he's dealing with. Because obviously, Marty Supreme, we've got all of these things going on with kind of the birth of sport as business in the 50s, and the post-war relationships between USA and Japan, and his Jewish history as well, which it kind of touches on. And it is really interesting, and it services a lot of interesting ideas, but I kind of wish they stuck a bit more to Chalamet's character. I think it almost indulges too much in him as a movie star. But I think the tagline "Made in America" is one of my favorite parts of the movie, because I think it speaks volumes.
Yeah, I think personally for me the ping pong works a bit better as a sport. I mean, I know like basically the
I
same
understand
amount
that.
about both of them. I feel like the ping pong is more like he's using it more cinematically, whereas the basketball is a lot of talking and
Yeah,
using it as plot
I agree with
devices.
that.
It kind of was like a barrier. It's not like a big barrier, but like it was like I don't understand really what was happening in the basketball game, but it's not really important because you're just like there for the
I
emotion of
agree.
the bet.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think that, sorry, that kind of capital difference is what's linking the basketball rather than the sport itself, which I think is what it does so well. Um, and like I said, the ping pong is more like attached directly to Chalamet rather than that split in between them. Which I agree, it works better, way better cinematically. And the opening credits, the obviously we opening credits, the film takes place over like the film takes place over 8 9 months. The the duration of pregnancy for Odessa Azion's character. And we get the opening credits of the sperm and the eggs, and the egg just
and its
dissolves
own
into a
race.
ping pong ball, and it's slow motion into that, which it is wild. And also the opening credits are very similar for Uncut Gems, because we go like inside this gem, and it kind of starts to look like the inside of a human body, and then we kind of come out of it, and we're like in some what we in like someone's ass or
Colonoscopy, yeah.
something, yeah. Which is fascinating. And honestly, I hadn't seen Uncut Gems in nearly 4 years, and yeah, the differences, the similarities, just they crazy, how similar those two films are. But yeah, I think Marty Supreme, like, I do like it, but there's just something about it I wish, I feel like it needed to stand on its maybe its 2 feet a bit more. Not that it doesn't, but just to tip it over that edge for me. Just that it feels like I want to see them tread new territory. But there's still originality in the film. That yeah. Sorry, what are you going to say, Ryan? I interrupted you.
Yeah, going on what you're saying, like it does. It's very clearly got like the Safdies, like chaotic, like stressful moments. I mean, the middle of this movie is pretty much like Good Time and Uncut Gems, and it's kind of
Mm.
like like open and closed by like something that I feel like is like kind of elevating the movie a bit for me, where it's like this really like American epic, and it's got those like it's got the
Mm.
sports tropes, but it's also like going against them in ways because this movie opens on like basically the final it would be like the final like game in any other sports movie basically where you fight the big bad like enemy at the start, and it
Mm.
is like so exciting just straight off the bat. Like I seen someone say that this is like it's a movie set in the 50s and it's it's kind of shot like a movie that was made in the 80s, but it's also like a 2020s movie. And the way that this is a sports movie, it's so 80s. Like the geopolitics that you're talking about is like so
The
Rocky
score.
IV with like Russia and the US, like kind of really
It
reminded me
is.
of that. And I think I thought it was interesting to kind of just like throw all these chips on the table for like the ping pong side of it, like basically off the bat, and then you kind of like backtrack and go back into the character, and then back into what you expect from a Safdie movie, and he still kind of manages to live up by the end of it, even with the ping pong stuff. So I thought that was an interesting approach to kind of like a sports movie, even if you don't necessarily care about the sport going into the movie.
There's definitely like a timeless element to it compared to like the previous films. I think it's because of the casting is really unconventional. Like Koto Kawaguchi, who plays Endo, has such good screen
Yeah.
presence, and he does look like a guy who just plonked straight out of like a real Japanese ping pong tournament. And yeah, he's
Insane
obviously
aura.
deaf, so he just aura forms basically. He barely ever
He is
speaks.
he is an actual player, isn't he?
Is it?
I'm almost
That makes
certain.
sense.
Yeah, did you? So basically, he didn't know that he didn't know what he was like getting into. He didn't know who is he an actual player? Yeah, he is.
He's never been
a
in
26-year-old
anything.
real life table tennis champion from Japan. And when they kind of signed in, he had no idea what the film was, no idea what Timothy Chalamet was. But yeah, he is an actual table tennis player, and I think the whole cast is crazy because obviously we have Tyler the Creator as well. Was this his first feature? One of his first? No,
It's
he's
his
done.
first
He's done.
movie.
He's
No,
been in films.
he's been in films, but this
I mean,
feels
it's his
He's never
first
been in a
series
live
one.
action
like his like
narrative
cinematic
movie.
inception. He's good, but it just goes on because obviously we've got Kevin O'Leary as well. Horrible person. Shark Tank kind of plays himself. Unfortunately, fantastic. Even though he basically is playing himself, so it's not that hard. Fran Drescher is the SAG, the president, isn't she? Yeah, unless I'm mistaken, the woman who plays her mother. Is she the SAG president?
Right.
Am I, or was she? Am I?
I think she is definitely a
Former.
union
She
leader.
was. She was. She were. She was. I swear she was SAG president. Yeah, third national president of SAG. Yeah, which is crazy.
Gwyneth Paltrow playing a
Gwyneth
movie star,
Paltrow.
aging movie star. Her first role in 10 years.
Yeah, outside of MCU, which doesn't really matter. It's crazy. And yeah, Koto, like you mentioned. And also, mentioning names. Where am I? Who's the name of the really big guy? Luke Manley. I don't know if you've seen the videos floating around. You know the really big guy, his friend that he's doing business with.
The one
So-
that they sleep over at.
Yes, so he was. This is his first film as well. He's a Knicks fan, just like Timothy Chalamet and Josh Safdie as well. And there was a viral video of him when during a playoffs game he said something crazy while he was drunk, and Josh Safdie saw it, and he's got his like Asian say, "Can you come and audition for this role?" And he got it. So this is crazy stories of actors getting roles. Fred
That's a
Hessinger
crazy one,
shows
but
up for like 3 seconds in this film. Did you guys see that?
Oh yeah, he's on the stage play.
The stage
Yeah.
play. He has like so many random tiny
He's in so
cameos
much.
in movies. He's in Nickel Boys as well. Is crazy. And obviously the best one, maybe my favorite performance in the film from the absolute goat Abel Ferrara, who I am so thankful to Josh Safdie that we have got Abel Ferrara on the big screen in an actual supporting role in Big 2025. It is glorious. Not some random cameo. He actually has a role in this film. and he's terrifying. He is so scary, and I think he really brings so much to the moments of wild unpredictability to this film. We get to the sequence where Marty's having a bath, and the bath just collapses, just goes straight down through the roof, and like lands on like Abel's arm, like half crushing his dog as well. And after that moment, he kind of like he turns into John Wick for the rest of the film, going after his dog and his money, and he is truly exceptional. And
The dog is
yeah,
essentially the ring from Uncut Gems, where he's giving it and has
it
to like
is,
protect it.
yeah. Um, I didn't even think of it as that, to be honest. I don't know why, but that it is. It's fascinating. But yeah, and I can't because I looked up and I just thought it was such a random thing that he was in that film, but he was in Daddy Longlegs as well, which
Mhm.
I didn't realize.
He's very brief, but he plays a robber. He's good in that, but it's like a couple minutes scene. Um, he's always casting himself or being casted as like a psycho, to be honest. But he's very good at playing that sort of character. And even though he's old, I hope he collaborates more with like younger directors because he's a
I
really good
agree.
actor.
He's really good. How old is he now? Was it 1951?
74.
He's seven. Yeah, he's 74. Obviously we got. I know it's not quite comparable. David Cronenberg in the Ready or Not, Here I Come next year, which is interesting. I love when directs like that who don't do many roles just have a role, and it's just the best thing ever. Like Lynch doing it as well, and they're always so good. They really never disappoint. I can't remember the last time when was the last time Cronenberg was in a film?
Jason X, maybe.
Was he actually? He's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
what's the
He's like the
film?
bad guy at the start.
To Die For, the Nicole Kidman film. He's in some of his own films, I think. I'm almost certain he's in what's it, Naked? I think he's in Naked Lunch. You might want to check
Yeah,
that.
and Abel Ferrara is in a few of
Driller
his
Killer,
many of his early movies.
Miss 45. He's in,
He's in both his feature debuts.
and he's is he
Well, we're getting
what did I? One moment. He's in one of his pornos too.
yes,
Just go on his
yes, yes.
filmography, and it's just blood out.
It's an
That's
interesting filmography. Yep.
It is.
Um,
But yeah, the whole, I think, like you were saying, the metatextuality of this cast kind of adds to the film. Just the process of it all like you said, is really unconventional, but it is in essence inspiring, and one of the best ensembles of the year for sure. I really loved everyone in this.
and
And
the director, because there's this kind of element of Marty trying to make it on his own without any help, and I don't know
yeah,
if Josh Safdie necessarily feels like he's having to do that outside of his brother, because they've obviously been hugely successful. But this is like kind of another small element to that, where they're splitting off for the first time, doing it on
yeah,
their own.
I think it's the best casting job of the year for sure. Like
yeah.
there's so many layers to this narrative, and everyone plays a part so well. Even like minor characters like Emery Cohen, who plays the Odessa's boyfriend, is like really good in all his scenes. And when Marty's obviously got so many good little lines where he's trying to irritate people, it's like, "What, you want to get physical like an ape?" That line really
That's
stood
a
out
good
to me.
line.
A lot of
It
the
is.
people in this just look like they were plucked out of the 80s. It reminded me of the Asian kid in Long Walk. Like, that chubby guy you're talking about, I forgot his name, but he looked like someone straight out of an 80s film. Yeah, there's not
Even though it's
much,
the
not much.
50s.
Yeah, but that's what you were saying though. It looks like a film that
Hmm.
was made in the 80s. It's about the 50s.
Yeah.
It has like the
I've
energy
never.
of an '80s movie.
Yeah, it's the energy of a 80s film, and that's why I think it feels so unique compared to everything else that's come out this year. I don't think Timothy, like I said, I don't think it's the best performance of the year. I think it's the best performance of his career, and it would be an earned Oscar if he was to get it. My favourite's still Leo, I think, even though it's boring. Leo in One Battle After Another is just incredible, but I can't
I
see
feel
him
like
winning
people
that.
aren't talking about Leo more, so I don't know if it's the boring pick anymore. I feel like people are more talking
I
about
feel
Maybe
like,
it's-
I
Timothy
mean,
and
I'd like to see like Wagner Moura or Josh O'Connor, to be honest. I don't think Josh O'Connor is. I know Wagner Moura is kind of in the running for Secret Agent,
yeah,
but
and Ethan Hawke.
yeah, Ethan Hawke as well. Yeah, I think, but just from production side of things as well, is kind of fascinating. Obviously, Darius Conji, who you said, he has had a pretty incredible year between this, Eddington, and Mickey 17, which I saw a tweet the other day. It was like everyone has forgotten about Mickey 17, and they have, and rightfully so because it's not very good. Like
I've not forgotten about it. It's in my top 10.
it's not, and yeah, it's kind of crazy that everyone kind of forgot about the fact that Bong Joon Ho released a movie this year, but and he shot that as well, which I think do you know I think Eddington's his best looking work out of the three for me. I think there are more images in that film that stood out of my mind, but I think from Marty Supreme standpoint, there's more kind of like what it's showing in this is sometimes more provocative than what is it necessarily in Eddington. But I feel like the work he's doing with Ari Aster is more compositionally interesting than what this is. Even though this film is kind of going for a totally different energy, it's very frenetic handheld camera work. We're moving around a lot. And it kind of it keeps up this pace, and it really just keeps on moving. And yeah, his filmography is pretty insane.
Yeah, he's been at the top for like, is it the 80s or 90s? I know he's been working with Fincher. Like
Fincher,
his work with Fincher in the
Woody
90s
Allen,
was incredible.
The Beach. That's so random. He's done Lost City of Z's good film. He's done
Yeah, 80s,
Okja with
90s.
Bong Joon Ho. Done some James Gray. Yeah, it is interesting. Wow.
But yeah,
I'm just
those
scrolling down.
last three are like, I mean, there's some similarities there. Like you can see, like he loves like a long take, and
Yeah.
you can, but I feel like Eddington and this is probably what I'd pick. But even this is like very different to Eddington as well, like you're saying, and I think one of the reasons this is very different as well because of another person that is one of the best ever working in this movie, and that's Jack Fisk with the production design.
Glad you brought him up.
Yeah, which the goat, and he does
Like-
incredible work in this, like recreating the 50s. Like is people said this wasn't a movie that you could tell was a big budget movie, but I think that is ridiculous because he pretty much
That's a
recreates
lie.
like
Yeah.
50s
That's a
New
lie.
York. They're all over
To
the
be-
world in this movie. Like
To be fair,
that's incredible.
I think he does a good job because I was watching some videos. Obviously, they shot in New York, so I think it's in essence he does a good job because you don't really need to do much to transform New York parts of New York in that sense. But he does do a good
Mhm.
job.
Well, he
of
done a
doing
lot
that.
off screen that wasn't even in the movie. Apparently, like he spent
Yeah.
hours on like something that was just for the actors.
Oh, really? Wow, that's interesting. But yeah, just his filmography is insane. Obviously, long-time collaborator with Malick. He's done Lynch as well, Mulholland Drive, There'll Be Blood, Kiss of Flower Moon, Thin Red Line, Tree of Life. Like that filmography is nuts. The New World as well. That is genuinely insane. He did The Master with PTA. Yeah. Did he? No, he didn't do. Did he do A Hidden Life? No, he didn't. Interesting. But yeah, he is. Yeah, the work in here is ridiculous. And I was. Yeah, I didn't realize it was him. I think I'd seen the name beforehand and recognized it, but hadn't really put.
Yeah, I forgot until he popped up in like the opening credits. But yeah,
Yeah.
incredible work with the 50s. I mean, there's a scene in here when they kind of go to retrieve Abel Ferrara's dog, and there's like this like old farmhouse and like with wheat
Yeah.
all around it. That kind of reminded me of like Although something like
It's kind of like
um,
TCM kind of thing. I don't know
Yeah.
why
Reminded
that
me
came
like
to my mind.
Cohen films. I don't know, like No Country. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. There's some like pretty grand set pieces. There's like the explosion at the gas station, and then there's the shootout in the. It's a film I feel like I'm going to watch again just because so much happens. There are certain aspects I prefer more than others. I wasn't a huge fan of how long-winded the Gwyneth Paltrow stuff was, just because I found
Interesting.
his relationship with Rockwell, like the guy Kevin O'Leary, more interesting. But I suppose um, the power dynamic there all were intertangling because obviously he's embarrassing Marty, but at the same time he doesn't know he's being cooked by Marty. And
Well, I was
there's
thinking about that scene, and I think he must have found out that she was sleeping with him like before that scene, because you have that moment when you know that Gwyneth Paltrow's like crying in her room, but you never find out why she's crying. So
Oh, surely it's
I
the
was
bad
thinking about it.
review. Surely it's the bad review.
You think so? I was thinking it
I
was
thought
someone.
it was a bad review.
I thought someone was trailing them when they were in the New York like park, and like Kevin O'Leary's like being told
Interesting.
about the affair. That's
No,
why I kind of took that
I
tune.
just assumed
Interesting.
Kevin O'Leary's character was just that much of an asshole, and he wants to like show off in
Yeah,
front of his friends.
yeah, he definitely would
Uh,
do that regardless. But I was
that
thinking that
makes
was
it a
maybe the
little bit more
reason.
interesting, I think. But I don't think he knew. I think it was a combination of like earlier being caught in the park by the police and a review. But there's a lot of questions you can ask about the film, which is a positive.
Yeah, I think it's you get those moments with the comparison between Sandler and May's character, those kind of moments of despair, and then suddenly they just pull out the most like audacious line, like Timothy after the he gives the necklace to the policeman. He's like, "Oh, can I have another one?" And it's just like Sandler with the bets. And I just but I think it's interesting, this kind of this like the world of endless second chances that these guys just keep on getting. um but I think it is interesting, but I guess I felt the effects more of it from the betting side of things. But and going back to some of the wild stuff, obviously there's a scene in this film surrounding honey, and turns out I think it is a true story. From
It
I
is
think
apparently.
this Marty Mal's what's the guy that's based off? I've forgotten his name. It's Marty something, isn't it? But I think it was revealed that there's basically a scene where one of his friends, who was another table tennis player, when he was in a concentration camp, he would defuse bombs for the Nazis, and he would go out and find honey and smother it all over his body, and come back inside, and they would all the people inside would just lick it off his body. And apparently, it is a true story.
Yeah, he
Which is
stayed
kind of
alive
wild.
because walking into the gas chamber, a guy would recognize him every time and recognize him as
Yeah.
a table tennis or what's the word?
Ping
Ping
pong
pong
player.
pro. Yeah,
But I that's where I like what it does with ping pong as a sport. I guess I don't think it's really fair to put that on against the basketball of Uncle Gems, because I think they have kind of a separate relationship with the characters. But I like that the route that Safdie went down in trying to make ping pong and establish it as a sport in this world, because it's clear that not many people took it seriously. In America anyway. But is evident is that it's bigger in a lot of different places. But yeah, there are some wild jokes in here that kind of got like not laughs on my crowd, but kind of like gasps of like, do they
yeah.
like Marty making jokes about Auschwitz, saying that he's Hitler's worst nightmare, saying that he'd drop a third bomb on Japan,
And
as
then Endo
well.
just goes on to like destroy him in the next game.
Exactly. it is a film that works itself down a ladder, because he really starts at the top, and like even though he wins that last match, he's not won anything. And it is a really pathetic story of a moron, just like Uncut Gems. But Marty Supreme is just Uncut Gems with a happy ending. And I know a lot of people have kind of been contesting this ending, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's not.
I-
It's not trying to convey one emotion, is it?
yeah,
It's trying to like. It's
it's a happier
happiness,
ending than Uncut
but
Gems.
it's also like
Yeah.
I think it's trying to get that he's realizing that he has like a responsibility now.
Yeah,
I think the weight of all his actions are like hit him at once. So it is like a
I
for
think
a
it's an
Safdie film, it is a
overwhelming.
happy ending. It's like an overwhelming,
Yeah,
and you can read a lot of emotions from like Timothy's performance for that. But obviously, compared to Uncut Gems, it's like a great ending.
yeah. We
Mhm.
get this moment where he kind of sees his child that he clearly doesn't, coming up to the point, has literally zero. It seems to have zero care for in the world, and then suddenly he sees a child and he just breaks down, and we get Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Needle Drop playing over. Interesting needle drop. I think my favorite is the Order of Death by Public Image Limited, which is one of my favorite songs, and I was like jumping out my seat when about to jump out my seat when that dropped. That's the one like, this is what you want, this is what you get. I love that song.
Right.
So yeah, very much 80s, I guess.
It's
But
like rocky montage, like
it
high
is,
energy music.
but I think used in more ironic ways. But I
Mhm.
guess one of the things I wanted more out of this film was for like what Uncut Gems does a bit better is this. I wasn't feeling the irony as much with his relationship to the world around him. Um, and I feel like Uncut Gems has a good balance of the two. Like I'm feeling that this guy is an absolute moron, and I feel like the filmmaker is actually doing something about it. Where I think there's moments where it kind of feels a bit vague with what Marty's character is. Like I'm not that I want it fed into me, but I'm struggling to define what you're trying to do with this character. And I think I don't know the ending. I'm mixed on the ending. As the way it points his character. Obviously, there's like I don't know, this kind of like semi redemption just feels a bit, I don't know. It kind of feels a bit cheap to me and a slightly bit hypocritical to what they had going for it. But I don't know. What did you guys make of the ending?
I thought the song choice was really actually ironic and quite inspired. Welcome to Your Life. Obviously, it's reflective of the kid, but it's also reflective of Marty's character. It's like, yeah, the like, obviously, it's the film as well opens with Forever Young. It's like a
Yeah, it
dichotomy,
does.
I
True.
suppose. It's like this illusion of like, this grand illusion you've got of how your life's going to turn out, sort of like falling apart now. Obviously, he says early in the film, it's like his destiny to be the best. It like he doesn't have a choice, and that sort of like falls apart with the introduction of a kid that he's trying to run away from. So yeah, the like pop song choices are really inspired and I think quite ironic, which I suppose from Marty's perspective leaves a bit of a bittersweet ending, but it is quite a satisfying ending, I think, for the character.
Yeah, the moment when he turns to Rachel and just says, "You have no purpose," is a crazy. He's like, I have all this destiny put onto me, and it's like, it's not a good
Mhm.
thing that I have all this purpose in my life, and it's like, you have no purpose, and she gets put up with so much in this, and it's crazy. He's an awful guy, and yeah, it is. He is truly insane.
Yeah. I think the conclusion to the ping pong side of his destiny is more interesting, I think, than the baby part. Because
I
you obviously
agree.
have like this you have this like finale that's kind of leading up to this tournament that he gets kicked out of, and then he throws the one where he has to kiss the pig. But then he like screw that, I'm gonna beat this guy, and it asks an interesting question at the end of that, where it's like, is it enough to know that you were the best player in the world, or do you actually have to be the best player in the world because he never actually gets to prove it like statistically on the big stage? I think that's an
I
interesting question that kind of leaves you on.
It does, but with the this is just a neat visual thing. But like, it made a knack of it at the beginning about clothes, but both of them were wearing whites in the final game.
Mhm.
Obviously, I know the I find it funny as well. The whole thing with the ping pong ball is like is almost such a nothing thing in this. From
Yeah, same.
the amount he gets brought up, because obviously the thing with the white shirts is that uh they don't play in white shirts in ping pong because the color of the ball is white, and you can it kind of blends in. And obviously in tennis they do, in Wimbledon they do anyway, they have to play in white. So he tries to create this orange
Mm.
ping pong ball to differentiate between the two, and it ends up going nowhere. um and he kind of sees playing in white as this pure thing, and that is table tennis, and obviously the final thing is not a real game, but they are playing in white.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know, it's an interesting thing
Yeah,
to.
yeah, that is interesting because it kind of plays into the fact that most people will know nothing about ping pong. Really, that's not why they're coming here. And like from the trailer, I expected it to be like Marty Mauser in real life, like revolutionized the ping pong game, and like
I
they
agree.
now play with orange balls. That's kind of like an interesting comparison to Benny's movie, where the Smashing Machine is like the origins of the UFC, and like they're both kind of following this
Mm,
character that was kind of the best of the sport at the time, but they'd never
yeah.
really got the recognition for it, and like doing kind of interesting stories that haven't been told with like the popularity properly,
Hmm.
and that one it kind of is like he was revolutionizing the sport, but then what this one's almost like a twist where it's like he kind of was nothing in terms of the history of the sport and then like the history of ping pong.
That's also kind of similar with Uncut Gems, with the gem in the way, because you almost expect more out of that, like it's some massively rare thing, and like it's worth a lot. But in the end, there's this the kind of devaluation. Um, but yeah, I think it's interesting they kind of move around the ping pong ball, kind of uh, it just gets thrown to one side completely, and this kind of this
Like
other
literally
part of
thrown out of a window.
literally thrown out of a window. This part of the kind of sport business, kind of we move to um the pens with Rockwell ink, and those the pads as well, instead of the balls, which end up going nowhere. And I feel sorry for that the guy who spent all his time doing that. And yeah, it's but yeah, interesting.
Is this a vampire film?
Good scene, good scene.
That line is so
The
funny and like out of nowhere.
Chalamet's reaction to that line is really really funny. He's so confused. Um, but yeah, Kevin O'Leary's. It is really interesting watching these non-actors act in such a way that you're kind of surprised by. But with Kevin O'Leary, he's almost playing himself, and I guess there is a bit of extension to that, but at the same time, he's good. But yeah, it's interesting.
I think he's incredible in this. I don't want to like just because the
Mm,
movie is. I don't want to downplay his performance. He's really good. I'm not familiar with him like at all, really. I know, like
mm,
he's not a great person, but if I didn't know who he was beforehand, I suppose he's playing himself, but it's surely such an exaggerated version of
mm.
himself that he still deserves some credit for it. I suppose.
Yeah. Um, I I think I think Uncut Gems is more the more divisive of the two, and I think Marty Supreme makes a case of being uh quite crowd pleasing more so than Uncut Gems in a way, which I think is is more apparent in maybe its popularity, but I think we can't go without mentioning the marketing because obviously I think that's such a play to what this movie stands for, rather than just this gimmick. He's been on an insane run with the blimps and the jackets and the video he did with SD Kid, which is crazy. The Scouse rapper, obviously, people that was just some stupid rumor that was him. And they did a video debunking that, and people were like, "Oh, if that's a video that loses him the Oscar, then that's crazy because that is really really funny." Because I
It's
heard people say
low-key
that
kind of good as well.
I kind of hope they drop it on Spotify, or just anywhere. It is. But yeah, it does tie into the movie a lot, and this commercialization, but I think it plays into his persona and this character as a really fascinating extension, more so than just trying to get people in movie theaters. But yeah, I've been
It's
really
very clearly
enjoying.
planned out from Timothy. Like, how long ago was
Mm.
the SAG Awards? I feel like even back then, like that
Oh
had to
wow,
have
it's
been like,
January.
yeah,
Yeah.
even back then he had to been thinking about setting up this whole like marketing plan.
Mm.
Because I feel like his marketing's almost it's more like him recreating Marty Mauser rather than the film being about him. Like his behavior of the past few months isn't necessarily accurate to what he is in real
No,
life. I think.
if you hear him in like a serious interview, and then hear him when he's like on a platform that's more catered to like younger audiences, there's like a clear difference. He's very humble. He's got a superstar personality that most has like died out in Hollywood. I think with like the older actors.
Yeah.
I think he's the next closest thing to like the big superstar, and I think he's like self-aware of that, like the pull he has, because people will just see films just because he's in it. Um, and he did like an absolute master plan marketing this. I mean, I think he'd been training for the role for like 6, 7 years or something because he'd been doing ping pong lessons and stuff. Um, but obviously he's known the role was coming up, and as he's got more popular through like the Dune films and stuff like that, I suppose he does have an ego, but I think he reins it in pretty well.
I think that it's interesting because you see him like all the videos from him from a young age, and he feels like that character now. It's not just like he's put on this kind of massive ego now. It's like he hasn't really changed in that respect. And when I was down in London for the pop store, when he showed up, oh my goodness, absolute chaos! Just people running everywhere, just uncontrolled. It was absolute mayhem. It was genuinely insane. People just go nuts, and people like just there for him. People you meet in queues and everything is wild. Um, but yeah, not many other actors could get away with, I guess, what he kind of goes around saying, and uh, the maybe put on arrogance that he has about himself and his character. But yeah, I kind of see him in line with Leo. I think I really like him as an actor. I think he's a really fascinating performer, which I think I kind of sit with similarly with Leo. But I do agree. I think this is his best performance to date. Maybe because it's most himself, but um, yeah, I guess I really was wowed. But I still think Abel Ferrara might be my favorite performance in this film. Maybe I'm biased because he's one of my favorite filmmakers, but genuinely
I think what
brilliant.
makes Timothy maybe stand out amongst the other performances this year is that I feel like he's in every frame of this movie basically. Like there's
Mm.
not a second that it's not about him. Whereas Leo, he kind of takes the back seat in one battle after another for like periods of the movie. He's not always like the movie star of the movie. Um, but yeah, I think that's why this probably stands out at the top for me is Timothy Chalamet's performances. It's interesting in comparison to like Benny Safdie's Smashing Machine because he's almost trying to do like the same thing with Dwayne the Rock Johnson, like bringing this huge star in and like trying to change the perspective of him. did not become successful nearly as much as this. It's like The Rock's almost trying to rein it in comparison to what Timmy's doing. And then Adam Sandler was kind of similar in Uncut Gems, where it's like he's doing a real movie for the first time in 20 years at that point in his career. So yeah, they're always trying to do something with the main actor in their movies, at least the last 10 years.
Yeah. And it's just come out today. Obviously, there's a scene in the film where Marty says he'll do anything to go to Japan. So Kevin O'Leary bends him over and starts spanking him with a paddle, and that was actually him. He refused to have a double, a butt double, and got spanked for about 40 takes over multiple hours. Um, he said he wanted his own ass immortalized. And they do make a widescreen worthy spectacle of his ass in this film. Yeah, Kevin O'Leary goes crazy in that scene.
The
Yeah.
seal as well. I wonder how long that took.
Oh,
The
so good.
seal.
It's like a 2 second scene. Yeah, the Harlem Globetrotter sequence is really fun. How degrading it is, I suppose, to Marty as a character, because he's having he's got his dream of traveling the world, but it's like delegitimizing the actual sport he loves. It's like you see that throughout the film though, where Rockwell's like doesn't actually take him seriously, but still is trying to like leech money out of him.
They treat it as this kind of circus-like thing. This really kind of lower level sport as entertainment rather than sport, because moving through this kind of business phase and entertainment as we're kind of reach that midpoint of the 20th century, which I think is kind of fascinating to think about this start and the shift of sport as entertainment and as business rather than as sport, which I think is kind of interesting into the play at the end where he wins, but he doesn't win anything because you're trying to treat that kind of tournament as the sole thing, removing the kind of that essence to it of the sport. But yeah, the seal thing is funny. Yeah.
Some of the stuff Timothy is doing in this movie is pretty ridiculous. Like, I know he was carrying the ping pong table, like you said, like for the last like 8 movies he done or something. But I'm interested to see what he's actually doing for real in this movie, because there's like the end, like the first ping pong match. He's like, I don't remember his name, but it's the guy that was in the concentration camp with the honey story. They're like
Yeah.
hitting it back and forth like across the arena and like kicking
Oh,
it and
yeah.
stuff. And I'm interested to see how much that was real. There's some really like cool tricks he does in this. Like there's a scene with Gwyneth Paltrow in the play scene where he kind of like flips a knife up into the air and like catches it and like goes to stab what's his name, Fred Hetchinger, when he's showing him
Oh,
how to like
yeah.
kill someone properly. There's a lot of cool like tricks that I'm sure there's movie magic in there, but I'm wondering how much of it was actually him.
I'm interested as well. I don't know. Yeah, there's like the scene at the beginning where he's just practicing like hitting it back and forth, just sweating. It's like there's a crazy rhythm to it when you see it from one side. And I agree, ping pong is way more cinematic and frenetic, and I do think Safdie capitalizes on that, and formally it is pretty intoxicating as a film. And obviously you can't go without mentioning the incredible score from Daniel Lobertin, who has worked with Safdie before. His score in Uncut Gems is really good. This is crazy. When he's busting out the flute, I'm just levitating. Some phenomenal tracks in here. So many voices in them as well. There's a real variety to the sounds. It sounds very worldly and global in a way, if that makes sense. The kind of the instruments that we're hearing really feels something set in a variety of countries.
It is. It's like I'd say it's my second favorite score of the movie, or score of the year. Sorry. particularly that like whole first section of the movie, the first and like the second endo match, and that Holocaust scene. It's called Holocaust Honey in the
I
soundtrack.
know.
It's a very funny name for a track, but I think that's one of the best in the soundtrack for me. It's such a good
Yeah,
soundtrack.
the scene with the apple where he's speaking to Gwyneth Paltrow's character over the phone. The score is really phenomenal. Then, but yeah, I think there's so much in this film that kind of rests on the back. It walks a lot of tight ropes and it relies on specific things to work very well. And I think the score is one of them. I think the score kind of really propels this film into motion as well as Chalamet as a character. But again, I think there comes a point where I'm like, you can only do so much with these kind of limitations. And once I'm starting to look a bit further outside, I am struggling to fully grasp what he's going for. Maybe that was just me.
After rewatching Uncut Gems, I think that score's slightly better. There's like a weird. I don't know how you describe the sound of it. I suppose it's slightly techno. I don't know. I'm not very good with describing music, but it feels more anxiety inducing, which is because it's more like self-contained and claustrophobic. But
Yeah.
it also doesn't. I don't remember. I mean, there's a scene with a weekend, but I don't remember it relying too heavily on pop music. Not that the pop music use in Marty Supreme it is bad, but yeah, I feel like as an overall soundtrack, I think Uncut Gems is slightly better at conveying the emotions of the characters. But pop music can be really used really negatively or overused in a lot of films. Just there as like recognizability, but I think the ones that are using Marty Supreme do add a layer of irony, like I said earlier, to the soundtrack and do actually suit Marty as a character. Because I was a bit worried when that trailer came out with like Forever Young that this is quite, I don't know, this is like a bit of a like MCU sort of song choice, like a Disney song choice, but
Levian.
it actually does. It does fit the thematics of the film. I think.
I think it's interesting the scope of both films because I think Uncut Gems capitalizes on how contained it is. There's kind of this microcosm of capitalism all contained in this small area. And obviously, Marty's a lot bigger in scope, but I don't think, in essence, it doesn't capitalize on the change in scope as well as Uncut Gems does. Because I know I've said they're very similar, but they are thematically and narratively, but their sense of scope is one thing that is different. But Uncut Gems has these the emotions are so boiled over by the end of this claustrophobic environment is it it adds so much to where those kind of arcs are going. And even though I was rewatching the Uncut Gems yesterday, my heart was just through the roof through that last act, and I knew exactly what happened. And I wasn't necessarily feeling as like that, I guess, in like the last game in Marty Supreme. But it is interesting the way they treat capitalism in their said different kind of scopes and environments. But yeah, I think this tight and knit uh, shot in Uncut Gems really does it for me.
Yeah, the anxiety like driven safety stuff kind of does get like it comes to a conclusion almost at the end of the Abel Ferreira like section with the dog. Like that's where I feel like the most like stress in this movie. That's where it's like this
Yeah.
is like Uncut Gems. Like I said, the dog is like the ring and he has to get it back and there's a lot of money exchanges and just a lot of stuff blocking him. That whole middle movie, it's almost as like its own like chapter of the movie almost where it's like that's over like 48, 72 hours or something and then everything outside it is bigger and over 9 months, I guess, because it's the whole pregnancy of the baby. Yeah, that's what it is like it doesn't quite reach the anxiety levels of something like Uncut Gems because like yeah, I was watching it for the third time again and it still gets you. Maybe because it's rewatches. It doesn't. I don't think. I think Uncut Gems has maybe a couple of more lulls than this. Like the weekend party scene or like the high school moments. But in terms of like anxiety inducing from the Safdies, I think Uncut Gems is the best of even their last three movies. Nice. And what did you give Marty Supreme?
I
I
gave
gave
Where
it
is it in
4.
your 2025 ranking?
I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Let's have a look. I did change my letterboxd icon to to that Marty Supreme one, which they got, which is interesting, but it does sit. For me, it's just like 31st out of like 116, whatever for now. Maybe it could change.
116.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, 116. Yeah, 31st. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know a bit. I don't know. Just having a look at what I got around it.
I've seen
Yeah.
70 new releases actually. I've seen a lot more than I thought.
I did go to London. I did go to London for
Yeah.
see 50.
It is.
Yeah,
To
when
be
you bring that
fair,
into account.
but I like how many of them are 22. My 2026 list has already got like 12 things on it. To be fair, yeah, good year already, and we haven't even gotten there. Some great films on that list, but yeah, I liked it. I like this film. I don't love it, and I know people are going head over heels for it. I wouldn't go that far. I think Uncut Gems is by far the better version of these films, and I would definitely go and support the movie while they're in the movie theaters and cinemas. But yeah, this is the more whole and complete film of the two. Uncut Gems is in anyway. Is anyway. But yeah,
I gave it a 4. I've seen 68 films. It's currently 7th, which just tells you how like few 5s I have in my top 10. But a 4's 7th. I might move it down a little bit, but it's just outside my top 5. For like the top heavy films this year, I was hoping for a little bit more, but we still have. I still need to see Sentimental Value, which I'm going to see in a couple of days, and what's the other one? What is it? No Other Choice.
no other choice.
That's a big one. I need to see
Two
that as
not
well.
very good films. I'm just
I do
throwing
not
that out
believe
there.
that for a second.
Neither of those films are very good.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, Marty Supreme is in my top 5. I think it's definitely my favorite Safdie. I like the period piece element of it to the two contemporary movies before that. Yeah, just the people they're working with in this is it's just all people at like the top of their craft, and I'm sure they'll probably top this in the future when they get even better. But
I
as
think
of
they get
now,
remarried.
yeah, hopefully, maybe I don't know if
Do
Benny
think
wants to
so?
keep doing his
I
own
think they
stuff.
will. I think they will eventually.
Yeah, Benny's doing a lot of acting. Does he have time to do
True.
another directorial
Mostly
job all
he's
the
in
time?
the Odyssey.
The Mario movie.
Oh, dear, he is, isn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, he's
forgotten
like
about
guaranteed to be the most highest grossing actor next year.
He might actually
by
be.
default.
That's crazy. To be fair, Zendaya is in like the Odyssey, Dune. To be fair,
Spider-Man.
Mario's got and the drama as well. Mario's that's gonna make $1 billion. Unfortunately, did the last one? How much did the last one make?
It did.
A lot.
1.5 maybe.
Oh dear, that film sucks. I saw
Sounds
that in
alright,
New
yeah.
York. AMC Lincoln Square. I saw that in that film.
Wow, that's not a great film to come out while you're in New York. Yeah.
No, it's not. I saw the Nicole Kidman ad, so it was worth it.
But yeah, that was our thoughts on Marty Supreme. Are we gonna go into our favorite watches of December?
I can. God, my selection isn't great. My best like watches this month was rewatches. Right, favorite first watches of December. I won't go in any order because they're all like similarly rated. Ronin, very good. Like Heat Light, very good cast, like ridiculous cast. De Niro
Good.
with Reno, and then Skarsgård as like the main three. Sean Bean's in it like briefly, but I love that he's doing his proper Sheffield accent. That's good representation in this like multicultural film. Yeah, it's just really, really good, and it's one I was putting off because I thought it was going to be like a generic like heist action film, like hype notes and all of it. It's not. It's really procedural. It's really clever. It's really sprawling, and everyone's giving it like a great performance. Frankenheimer is
So
a
good.
really interesting director because Seconds is nothing like this, but that's also a really strong film. I've not really dived into anything else from him, but there is two like major ones, and they're both really good.
The
So
car chases
it's
are
also
like
the car
some of the
chases are
best you've
ridiculous.
ever seen. They are
Yeah,
ridiculous.
they just go on and on and on.
And there's two of them.
So yeah,
It's not just one.
yeah,
There's two insane car chases in that film. Yeah, right.
yeah.
You should watch that.
The way they use like the locations for those car chases are just insane. I don't know how they filmed all of that, to be honest.
It's insane.
I watched The Revenant for the first time. It was one of my biggest filmography gaps, and I didn't love it. I gave it 3.5.
It's not very good.
I wouldn't say it's not
I
very
liked
good,
it.
but it's like I feel like people have turned around into like hating on that in recent years. A lot of people don't like that that's Leo's Oscar win, and he does have like hundreds of better performances, to be honest. But I mean, they were all trying to like kill themselves filming this, which you can sort of admire. I don't think any performances particularly stand out. I think Tom Hardy is just doing this weird accent thing again, where he sounds like
Tom
Bane
Hardy's
sometimes.
best, I think.
Really,
I
I don't know. He's pretty
I've only seen
distracting.
two of his films, but I do not have a very good relationship with Inarritu.
I
I think
generally
Birdman is okay. Is whatever, and I'm not a massive fan of The Revenant. I feel like Lubetsky needs to move away from Inarritu. I know he's doing Digger with him, which could be interesting. Um, and I like the teasers won me over just because I love that gorilla song that's in the teaser for Digger. But Inarritu's just I don't vibe with him. I really don't. He's just, and especially Digger, just seems like it's going to be so hit or miss. It's like some catastrophic comedy satire on like a massively wealthy man. It screams disaster to me. It screams disaster, even though the cast is really good.
yeah, I like Inuyasha. Amores Perros is good if you've not seen that. One of his Spanish language films. And I love Birdman. I am very excited for Digger just because it's cruising like a more comedic role outside of Mission Impossible. But we'll have to see. I love the branding for that and the poster and trailer. So that inspired me to finally watch Revenant because it was probably my biggest gap outside of like the It films, which I'm really not bothered about ever watching, to be honest.
Hardly a gap.
So yeah. The next one's one for Ryan, I suppose. It's like a Giallo. I'm not that like deep into that. I don't really know what makes a Giallo or not, but everyone's calling it a Giallo. What have they done to your daughters? Hard to find. I found it on YouTube in like good quality.
Yeah, I've not seen that one.
It's like a. It's not just a pure slasher though. A lot of it is like gender politics, and it's very procedural, very detective driven. A lot of conspiracies overlapping with each other. It's much more multi-layered, I think, than like a typical slasher. It's pretty brutal as well. It's not like there's never any egregious violence, but like it's a very vulnerable feeling film. 'Cause it's quite grainy and the score's really good. I think the scores in like every
Hmm.
Jello are good though. The guy who did it isn't like that well known either. Massimo Delamano. I don't know if you've heard of him. I don't
No.
think you've seen
Is
any
that
of his
is
films.
that his most popular film on Letterboxd?
No, his most popular is What Have You Done to Solange, but that's got like 14K long.
Oh,
He's
okay.
not a big director. I don't even know how I found it, to be honest. It's probably me hitting shuffle on a list again and just watching something, but it usually pays off. So that was my third one. My fourth one would be Tremors. That's just a good creature feature. I don't have much to say about it. I think that's a dying art that needs to come back. So I'm sick of the like trauma horror and possession horror. It has its place, but like the last proper creature feature I remember was like Krampus or Cabin in the Woods.
Krampus. Oh,
We need
Krampus
like
is not a bad film.
it's got really good practical effects. That's what makes Krampus. And Tremor, going back to like a Tremor sort of film where you're just fighting off these creatures. I suppose Death of a Unicorn tried it, but that looks awful.
Oh, that film is
And I'm
horrendous.
sure there's some sort of political commentary in it, even though I've not seen it. Yeah. Back to like Kevin Bacon's shooting. I mean, that scene where they're just unloading the whole like artillery into that giant monster is so good. The practical effects are ridiculous. It's a good
I'm
classic.
surprised you hadn't seen it before.
My last one, I suppose, would be American Gigolo is like a decent Schrader. It's not one of my favorites. Richard Gere, I think, has aura in like everything he's in. He's playing like a lucrative escort in this. It's quite a good conspiracy film. I don't have too much to say about it. It looks very grotty in a Schrader way that's like really colourful at the same time. It's not one of his best screenplays or anything, but it's definitely worth watching if you're trying to get into more Schrader. To be honest, aside from Ronin, every other film I've named is a 3.5 because it's been a rewatch heavy month. And I did see the whole bloody affair in the cinema, which is like by far the best experience I've had this month. If you missed out on that, you need to like lock in next time it gets released because I don't think I could watch part one or part two without seeing it all like together now.
I can be bothered.
You're a hater. You're a goat hater.
Gladly.
Yeah.
Was that all of
So yeah,
yours?
that's it. Yeah.
Okay, I will go into mine. So my number 5, I wanted to mention now because technically I haven't finished it, but I'm halfway through watching Godard's 8 parts Histoire du Cinéma, which is like 4 or 5 hours in total. It's like split into 8 parts. It is pretty unbelievable. It's started in like '89. I think the first 2 episodes are made, and then he like finished them off in like late '90s. But it kind of feels like unlike anything I've ever seen at the time. It's kind of Goddard moves into this really avant-garde phase of his career, and I think this is a real turning point. And it's like a dissection of cinema and everything that it stands for. But it's like it's Goddard, so it's like he's up his own arse. Yeah, but I guess everyone knows that. But I kind of love it, to be honest. And I generally think it is really, really worth watching. Uh, and yeah, I don't have a lot to say on it, but I'm so transfixed by his ideas and the way he presents everything, and the images and dissolves that he puts on the screen, and it is it's such a template for his later half and his 21st century career that kind of kicks off with like Notre Musique and In Praise of Love, and we end up in like Goodbye to Language and the Image Book territory, which won in Palm. All of which is kind of influences on each other, and it's so fascinating the way he took his career. But yeah, I know Daniel is a massive hater, but I think he's one of the best to ever do it.
He's one of the worst to ever do it.
He's one of the best to ever do it. Yeah, I think it's interesting because obviously Brian hasn't seen, but Le Mépris or Contempt, a film that Daniel hates, is a film about someone trying to make the Odyssey, which I think is really interesting um, as a film. But coming into next year, but that film is incredible. But yeah, coming into number 4, I actually have a short film Is it short? It's like 40 odd minutes something. It's called A Day in a Country, in the country. Sorry, from 1946. It's like 41 minutes long. Recommend it. That is like, it's one of the most pleasing things I've ever watched. Everything is firing perfectly on cylinders. It is the essence of that Luca clip. Like, this is everything I love about cinema. This is very telling of everything I love about cinema, and um, it is wonderful. There's You go through so many emotions in the 40 minutes. There's just the joy of cinematic, just the images he's putting on screen, its direction, the emotional propulsion just goes up and then just kind of just goes straight down again. It is incredible. And I've been really trying to watch more short films as of late, and I've watched some really incredible stuff this year, and Godard stuff as well. Made some phenomenal short films, and I've been always trying to keep up with that because I feel like that's kind of a world that I really uh, haven't really gotten into. But there is some really, really incredible stuff, and this is one that I would absolutely recommend. Day in the Country, 1946, from Jean Renoir. Is really, really good. Um, at number 3, I have a film that I've been meaning to watch for so long. That is a film called Janet Planet from 2023. I see a lot of comparisons with After Sun. This is kind of more maternal than paternal. This follows a young girl and kind of the relationship with her mother, and the characters that move in and out of their lives. More the relationship with her mother, but it's kind of the silent effect that it has on the daughter, and it's observed really, really well. It's minimal in its expressions. It's quite silent. It's quite muted, sorry, but it never feels silent. There's a lot of happening in kind of characters' gestures, and the way it kind of awkwardly composes close-ups is I found affected me really deeply. And there's a lot of really ingenious staging in this with compositional barriers, physical. And it just hit me right where I needed to, and I was kind of blown away by it. One that I would recommend. I think it's one of the best films of the decade, honestly. It's truly phenomenal stuff, and I'm so glad I finally got around to watching it. Beautiful film too. It looks wonderful. But yeah, that is Janet Planet. Would absolutely recommend it. In number 2, I have about the only timely film on this list. I have The White Reindeer. I guess I can call it technically it's not really a Christmas film. I guess it is. It's a winter film. This is let me get the country right. Swedish? Finnish, sorry. Excuse me. Finnish, like, folk horror film from the 1950s. It's got like 11K logs on Letterboxd. Shout out Ben, who we all know, who put me onto this. This film is transcendent. Like some of the best expressionistic filmmaking post silent film era I've ever seen. The So much is done with shadows in this. It's like evil in a like a wide open, untouched landscape. Um, it feels so distinct to its time, and it is black and white. This use of black and white is staggering. And this is so very much my thing. What was I gonna say? There's wide shots of just reindeer, like hundreds and hundreds of reindeer being herded, just all across fields, and it's just breathtaking from a practical side of things. From kind of creatures and landscapes that you don't really see a lot in mainstream cinema at all. And it's an absolute gem. I would highly recommend this to anyone. It's just over an hour long. And it's one of the best horror films I've seen all year long. Yeah, it's the best. The White Reindeer, really great stuff. But um, as of now, my only 5 star of the month is a film called Black God, White Devil, uh, made in 1964, a Brazilian film, a pretty landmark film for Brazilian cinema. Every now and again, I've been meaning to watch this for ages, and I kept on seeing it brought up in kind of Criterion closet videos. Every now and again, an Axel will bring it up, and I'm like, I've really got to watch this. And I bought it actually. It was on sale, and I'm so glad I did. The restoration looks really good, but um, this film kind of reminded me of how much uh, contemporary cinema struggles to make blunt films. Um, it's very direct. There's not a lot of kind of feel things aren't filtered through allegories in this. There is a lot of rambling, but it feels very direct and honest and sharp and of an attack on kind of the exploitation that was going on at the time and this perpetual suffering of its country and its landscape. And I was really blown away by the whole thing. It's set across this kind of vast landscape, pretty barren, just but it's constantly soaked in blood, and characters being gunned down, killed, um, and I don't know. It feels it really does feel like the type of filmmaking that I hate to say it, that you just don't get nowadays. But I know it's kind of a cliche term to say that we don't have it like it used to. But it feels like it understands its own importance and is quite an eternal film in a sense. But yeah, I would highly recommend it. One of the best things I've seen all year. Really phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, I have a few of those on my list, but it's like we don't have it like it used to be. My top five. My number five is a modern movie though. It is Carol by Todd Haynes, which was a very nice Christmas movie for this month to watch. Very cozy formally because of all the winter and Christmassy and just the warm colors used in this movie. But it's kind of like that's all very interesting, but it's kind of like led by these two like just like powerhouse performances by Kate Blanchett and Rooney Mara, who are like incredible in this movie. There's such a like interesting power dynamic between their characters that because it's say in like 50s New York, that's kind of relevant to Marty Supreme as well. It's also another movie set in 50s New York. But it reminded me of Phantom Thread, just that like period piece where it's like centered on two characters and there's these like power dynamics between them. That's just like really interesting. Really recommend that because it's like technically a Christmas movie as well. Because it's all over the Christmas period, so it's a good movie to watch right now. And it's one of Todd Haynes' better movies. My number four is Sallow, which is one of the most
Nice.
infamous movies of all time, I guess. Which I watched in preparation for Abel Ferrara episode that we will be releasing soon. Because one of his movies is um, centered almost around that. But yeah, it very largely lived up to the reputation of being one of the most controversial movies of all time. There's some pretty insane moments in this movie, but it's also there's intention behind it. It's not like the other movies that you would often see put up between these like the Human Centipede or something like that, where it's very sleazy and not very well made. Like this is it's got some incredible craft behind it. Is really some incredible filmmaking, and it's not shock for shock's sake. This movie does have a lot to say. alongside the insane moments that he has splattered throughout there. So yes, don't be put off by the fact that this is put on like tiers of unwatchable movies that are the most
Yeah.
outrageous movies ever made. This is a really great movie, I think.
I really do hate those kind of lists and stuff that really separate that kind of a really provocative and unique kind of cinema that people just chuck aside because of like synopsis or those kind of videos when there was, yes, they're whatever, like disturbing, shocking, whatever, but people just throw them aside because of that. And there's so many incredible films out there that have that kind of aura or wit about them that just completely changed my perception of many things. I guess I know Daniel's seen it, but Demon Lover I think falls in the same bracket, and one you should watch, Ryan. Which is one of the best films I've seen all year. And yeah, Solo is another kind of timeless example of that case. But the whole idea of it and the fact that there are obviously some films that have that and they do warrant that kind of bad prejudice about them. But on the other hand, there's just so many unbelievable films to watch out there that have those like just just unthinkable synopsis, but I think are so worth people's time.
Yeah, it'd be a different situation if this was a movie that was like it felt like it was evil, the production behind it, but it seems like people had a really great time weirdly making this movie. It's not anything, or it doesn't sound like it was anything like what's on screen behind the scenes. And yeah, Pasolini just, I would say it's the only movie I've seen of his, but this is like a beautifully directed and shot movie that like I'd be interested to watch the rest of his work because it's a great movie. Number three, I have Seven Chances by Buster Keaton, which is the first movie that he made after Sherlock Jr., which is, I guess, it's my favorite movie from him. Close to this actually, but it's one of his bigger movies. So it's quite clear he kind of has like a bigger budget, I guess. Coming on to next, this was the year after, because he's doing some crazy stuff in this one, as he always is, risking his life, doing ridiculous stunts. But this one just feels a bit bigger. There's a lot of these like wide set pieces where he's like running down hills and running away from stuff. There's like a million extras in this one. It just feels very big and just ridiculous amounts of risking his life. And here, as always, and he does the Tom Cruise run before Tom Cruise in this. There's some very funny moments in here. So yeah, like most of Buster Keaton's movies, I really recommend that. Especially if you've not watched many silent movies, I think it's hard to watch Buster Keaton and not have a fun time. My number two is All That Heaven Allows, which is Douglas Sirk is the first movie that I've seen from him, but this is like one of the most beautiful Technicolor movies from that period that I've seen. It is ridiculous, the colors in this movie, and some of the lighting is incredible. It's just the way he moves through different weather periods. He starts in the fall and then he goes into the winter, and then there's like Christmas periods, and it's all so beautiful. It's incredibly melodramatic. Like it is. The story beats in it are like slightly aged.
It's
I
of
think
its
it's
time.
still
Yeah.
yeah
Like all the
yeah.
dynamics are very when it was made.
It is like very slightly problematic at times, but I think it still works. It is incredibly melodramatic, but I do like that in my movies, and it's hard to look past just how beautiful this movie is. And the lighting is ridiculous. So yeah, I'd recommend that. Another Christmas movie, so it works around this time as well. But my number one is What's Up Doc by Peter Bogdanovich, which is, I mean, if you look into like pretty much. If you look into anything like from like the early of like the new Hollywood, Bogdanovich is like one of the guys which is in there like kind of revolutionizing the
Crazy.
American like Hollywood system. He's got like Targets.
Class.
He's got
Last
this What's
Picture
Up
Show.
Doc, Last Picture Show, Paper
Paper
Moon, which
Moon.
is probably his most popular movie.
Mm.
Ridiculous from that like late 60s to mid 70s period. This one is well, I just rewatched Targets, which I really love. But it'd be almost a tie between Targets and What's Up Doc. Very different movies because the tone of Targets is very dark, whereas this is like a slapstick comedy. And it starts off just that like star-led slapstick comedy, and then it turns into this like Buster Keaton-esque, which is quite funny. I had another Buster Keaton movie in here, but it turns into almost like a Buster Keaton like riff where they're like running through San Francisco, and it's like so large scale and just like there's so much like cool practical like physical gags that they're doing just like going around this city. It's such a great ensemble. Just riffing. It's such a funny movie. It is quite crazy how different his movies and that like 5 movie run just was when he was like just like doing so well and releasing these like Hollywood kind of working outside that studio system like movies. He's such an interesting director that in that period of Hollywood. So yeah, that was my favorite movie of last month or this month.
Nice. Yeah, I think like we ended it a bit early, but we are on the 30th of December. Won't be when it releases, but yeah, next episode is going to be a bigger one, I think. Abel Ferrara. We've been planning it for months. We're finally
That's
getting
6
around
months, yeah.
finally getting around to recording it. We're very excited to talk about all of his films. Well, not all of his films, but we want to talk about his filmography as a whole. And we've picked like I don't know how many films, 6, 8 films.
Most of his big movies.
Most of his big movies, and obviously he was in Marty Supreme, absolutely phenomenal in Marty Supreme. So it's quite timely. But yeah, we are looking forward to that.
Yeah, that was our thoughts on Marty Supreme, what we've been watching, and we will be back next week for Abel Ferrara deep dive. So